Byron Nation. It's the Fantasy Golf Degenerates show for the Players Championship this year. Right off the Arnold Palmer Invitational, Russell Henley making his way through there. So, as always, brought to you with my good friend and co-host, Kenneth Kim, sitting on the nice couch over there. What's up, Kenny?
Yeah, man. Always looking forward to this event. One of my favorite events of the year. Of course, we got to call it like PGA Tour wants it. The Players! You got to scream it. It's all caps. Should be a fun time. Best field that we're going to see in probably any event every year. I love this event. I love this tournament. Been there once. Saw Rory win. Definitely want to go back. Looking forward to this show.
Oh, yeah. When we were on spring break back in college, we went and saw the Players while we were on at St. Augustine, and we were very hungover going over there. And the 17th hole has never looked that blurry to me, and it looked a lot smaller, feeling the way I did. But it was a really cool experience seeing that golf course. It doesn't look nearly the same when you're on the grounds as what it does on TV.
No, it's a beautiful course, first off. And, that whole area is sort of fun. I remember if you guys are going to the Players this year, I mean, make sure you check out Nona Blue. That's where you're going to meet all the golfers. We ate dinner there every night, just so we could see. I met Harris English, Brendan Steele. I hung out with Rory Sabatini. That story was actually funny. We were talking about Rory and who's the guy who he walked off the course, the hole, when the guy was playing too slow. It was about 15 years ago. Rory was playing with Scott.
Was it Sergio? Yeah.
I forget who it was, but he was on the course. Guy was playing too slow, and he just walked to the next fairway, or walked to the next tee box, let the guy putt. He was really pissed off. Got a lot of shit for that back then. If we did that nowadays, he'd probably be praised, right? But we were talking about that, and I guess this chick next to us overheard the conversation, and she comes up to us, and we find out that she's Rory Sabatini's wife. Sweet, sweet lady. I guess she's Slovakian. Right?
Slovakian. Yes. Not South African.
Yeah. He gets to play for Slovakia in the Olympics, got the silver medal. Really, really sweet woman. We got to go sit next to Rory, take some pictures, drink some of his silver oak wine. It was good. Also met the Golf Channel guys, sat with Brandel Chambly, all the hosts, bought them around drinks. They gave me some advice. And then the course, of course, is amazing. If you guys are going, the first par 5 on the front, or the first or second par 5 on the front, there's a taco stand, like right behind it, where you can like sit and like eat tacos and watch people hitting the ball onto the par 5. It's a really cool place to sit. If you maneuver just a little bit, you could see about 3 or 4 different holes from that location. So something to check out. Really love that place. Looking forward to this week. Before we move on to the Players, let's go ahead and talk about Russell Henley. 3 years since his last win. Pretty impressive that eagle on 18, on 16. That, of course, the NBC TV people botched. Again, I don't understand how they can botch something like that, even on a week where they have less commercials than normal. They still fuck shit up. It's bad. I mean, they got to take some pointers from CBS. I can't wait to get back to CBS. But Russell, steady, did his thing. Morikawa just couldn't get it done on the final round. You had that post where, he's gaining a full stroke or two every round on the field except for the final round. It's not taking my faith away from Morikawa. I think a win has to happen for him at some time soon, and possibly this week at the Players. Other things that happened this past week, we had the Wyndham Clark, another rules fiasco.
One time he was actually right, though, Kenny. Like, he was actually in the right.
I guess he's in the right on that one. I mean, like, Mike Kim had a post saying that, because I didn't believe that you could see, like, a ball mark from 300 yards away. But what they say, when you get to the ball, you could see fresh ball marks on the fairway compared to, like, ball marks that are a little bit older. Based upon the color of the grass. And I mean, Mike's a pro. He's been playing for 10, 12 years. I'm going to trust him on that. But like before that, I was going all off. I wouldn't have Clark. I was like, how the fuck are you going to see something like that? He also subtly cheated as well, even though I don't think it's technically cheating. But he was with a playing partner. The partner and the caddy walked away from their bag, and Wyndham Clark walked up to their bag to look and see what club they were hitting on that hole on the par 3. 100% blatant. I don't know if that's officially a rule. I know you can't ask what your opponent is hitting, but maybe you're allowed to look because there was nothing done with that one.
It's like marriage, Kenny. You're allowed to look, but you can't touch. You know,
yeah, well, I mean that's for some good guys like you, Byron. Yes.
For others, you can.
That is facts. Yes. But other guys that played well. I mean,
before we jump into some other guys, Kenny, I want to address something with the rules. Like, I am sick and tired of people. Like, the problem with the PGA and pace of play is these rule situations where they have to rely on a rules official. You should not be allowed to be penalized from television, like replays. If your playing partner gives you the okay, let's freaking go. Like, if you're protecting the field with your player partner, agreeing with what you're proposing needs to happen in the rule situation, move along. Let's go. Like, this bullshit where everyone has to, like, wait for rules officials, like, how are you supposed to, like, the integrity of the game gets lost because you waiting on, like, you know, like, everyone thought that the ball was in the ball mark, in the pitch mark in the fairway, but because there's a television thing there, we don't really know. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just causes too much chaos. Like, you know what I'm saying?
In my opinion, players use it to their advantage. They don't want to fuck up. They have the ability to call a rules official anytime there's any type of thing. They're going to use it because if one mistake and one wrong call and you get caught on it later, it's going to cost you. The way you avoid that is you get the rules official there. So I get why they use it. I get why. Because, I mean, it's just saving their ass. And for the most part, it doesn't take too much time. It does happen. I don't mind it, and I don't mind people calling in. I mean, if you're breaking the rules and you see it on TV, call that shit in. Fucking, it's golf. I mean, if you broke the rules, you broke the rules. Doesn't matter how people found out. The rules are broken. I don't mind the TV. I don't mind. I don't mind. Now, when we look forward more in this event, I mean, you saw, the conditions are nice. Of course, I mean, the conditions are good for tough golf, and that's what I'm looking for this week. We'll see if it happens. It looks like Jacksonville hasn't had that much rain lately, so we could get a really nice difficult Players Championship. And of course, there's more to talk about when it comes out with the course changes and stuff. But other guys that have been playing well. I mean, you look at Michael Kim, what he's been doing. I really, that's pretty impressive stuff by Mr. Kim. Hold on, why is it not? Where are we here? There we go. Finishing in fifth place. Yeah, just every week he's coming in, and every week I never roster him because I think the ride's going to end, right? He's been so consistent. We have to give him props for that, in my opinion. Also, Keegan Bradley with the lowest front nine ever on the course, 29, Mr. Captain, going out there, and then pretty good week for my Hustler Play of the Week. Hustler Play of the Week was Sepp Straka. Started off with a 77.
Yeah,
did not look like it was going to be a good start for the Hustler Play of the Week, but he came back, shot 12 under. I think one of the best scores for the final 3 rounds of the course. Finished in 5th, which sucked because I added him live Friday after his round at 80-1 with 4 places. He bogeyed 17, so that took him out of 4th for the placing. So I got skunked out of betting. JT shit the bed, Cantley shit the bed. I only had 4 bets for the week and I had 5 with the Straka, but a good GPP week again. 1 in GPPs. Once again, second time in the last 4 weeks since I've gone to the single entry. 3 lineups. Nice. That's it. Going for that. I had Straka in that lineup, of course. In the $33. I think I came in like 57th in there for 5, 6, 7 times my money on that. Somehow I scraped by making money, not doubling up, but making money in cash. I only had 2 guys that missed the cut last week in my player pool of I think 15. The issue was they were both in my cash line, the Gala and English. So that hurt, but I had Henley as one of my cash game cornerstones last week. So hopefully you guys rode that last week, got the Henley in there. It still made me win in the big one, the $50 and the $25 I was in. I won that, so I won $150 on that, even though I put in $120 20. So I didn't double up, but I got the W on that. Won in GPP. So we're rolling here a little bit, getting into the PGA, one of my favorites. I hit Scotty here live Friday afternoon, 28-1. That was, I think, my second outright of the year. So hopefully I'm trying to get my second outright of the year this week, because the only one I have so far is Nick Taylor. So let's see how it goes.
We're going to need a big one this week, Kenny. I had the Cam Smith here back in 2022. There's good vibes going. I think we're going to rock and roll as players. It's going to be a goodie. Anything else happening in the golf world that we want to chat about before we start getting into what's cooking this week?
I mean, the live guys could have played here supposedly. That didn't happen. I mean, there's always stories out there, but let's move on. I got some shout out to my grandmother. She is feeling a little bit ill, under the weather. 90-year-old, 93-year-old grandma out there. So everyone, you can get your thoughts and prayers out to her. I'm going to go ahead and tell a story about my grandmother once again. A little added story time with Kenny. I was supposed to never tell this story because I'm actually friends still with the female that this happened to back in the day. And she, I told her that I was going to tell this story, and she was like, "Do not tell that story." I think the statute of limitations has passed. I'm not going to say when in my life this happened. So, people who listen to the show might not and know me for a while would have to guess on which girlfriend this was, not know exactly who this girlfriend was. So there's a little story about my grandmother. I was at home with a girlfriend at the time, and the place I was living in, I was still staying with my parents back then. I was staying in the basement. There was no bedroom down there. It was just like a pull out. We put a bed down there. People could just walk downstairs and walk straight in. So I am in there. My mom and dad are out of town, and I'm giving her the workbench, the full workbench. You know what I'm saying? Like on the bed, like the way I like it. Head down, ass up. That's the way I like to fuck. Right? I mean, just going to town. I was like, back then I was virile, strong. You know what I'm saying? Giving her the full extension. So I'm just going to town. And then all of a sudden I hear, "Hey!" And I'm like, I look, and my grandmother is just staring right at us, right? And my girlfriend at the time couldn't see it because, her head was in the pillow. So I just continued going because I want to finish. No, I'm kidding. I stop. Okay. I stopped. And it was a joke. That did not happen. I stopped. All right. So I stopped. Girlfriend gets up. She's embarrassed as hell. For me, it's whatever. I mean, I'm a guy. I'm like, yeah, grandma, I'm gonna fox. Sorry. And so, girlfriend's super embarrassed. Grandmother runs upstairs. I dated this girl for a while. And this is how savage my grandmother is. My ninja. This is the same grandmother that had her own Ocean's 11 shoplifting ring with her other grandmother friends, right? Like they would go to Potomac Mills and rob the place. And then like whenever whoever stole like the most expensive shit would get everyone's shit that was robbed. I mean, this is some crazy shit that my grandmother does, right? And like, I'm pretty sure she did it just because she was bored, because she had mad dough, right? So this grandma is crazy. I was scared of her all my life, still scared of her now to this day, and she's 93 years old. And so a couple of years later, we're at a family function. I forget what it was, but my girlfriend, the same girlfriend, was there at the time, and she'd gained maybe a little bit of weight. Okay, at that point in time, and my grandmother sitting here sees her again. It's the first time she's seen her since that moment. My grandmother looks her straight in the eye and says, "You're getting fat. I've seen you naked. You're getting fat." Okay, at the point right now, I look back on it, it's fucking hilarious, right? Like savage grandma, right? Hilarious. At the time, it did not go over very well with the girlfriend. I think we broke up a few months later. But yeah, it did not go well. But shout out grandma for being the real one, speaking the truth. She don't want no fatties for me, I guess. She's looking out for me. So thank you, grandma. I hope you get better. Always thinking of you, and I love her so much, even though she's the meanest person I've ever met in my entire life. And
grandparents, Kitty.
Yeah. So shout out to my grandma for that.
And they can get away with so many things because the shoplifting thing, like you get caught with stuff, you can just pretend you're like senile type situation. You know, like they've got that get out of free jail card kind of thing.
I told you she got arrested again for like felony grand larceny, and she's been arrested for like afterwards, like 10 years later. This is like early 2000s. She got arrested for that. 10 years later, she was like 78, and she's 93 now. Or anyways, 10 years later, like in her 80s, she was arrested for having burglary tools.
Yes,
I don't know what that is,
but
like I don't know the whole. My girl, she's had an interesting life. I mean, for real. Like she was married to the guy who started the Korean Baseball League, the KBL or KB whatever. My grandfather was one of the guys who started that league. So he was
that's like crazy. You never told me that. That's insane.
He was a famous baseball player that played in Japan before there was Korean professional baseball. Wow. And then like when he retired from the Japanese league, he came back to Korea and tried to start the pro leagues in Korea. And like the league he started ended up becoming the league that we see now. You know,
the KBO.
That you bet on during COVID. That was my grandfather. He was one of the ones that started that. He was like an all-star first baseman in Korea, married my grandmother pretty young. Shane, he died before I was born. He died in 78, a massive heart attack, which is not great for me. But, you know, my health is actually better. If you see the player's shirt that I'm wearing right now, I could not wear this last year.
Oh, yeah.
I was too fat. So now I tried it on for the first time today. I was like, hey, it fits again. So we're trying to get into shape. But again, shout out to my grandmother. Anything else you want to talk about before we move on?
You say that, and then I actually went back and watched last year's The Players. I think we were with Tambo, and yeah, you are right. You were a little chunky back then, so I've noticed it. So good for you, dude. Good job.
Last year at that point in time, I was probably 280. Right now, I think I'm 220, 228. I think it was 288 was the highest I got. And then when I saw the fact that I looked at the scale, like 288, I was like, what the fuck? Now, the issue is, at that point in time, I had stopped smoking. I had gotten like 1 or 2 cigarettes a day. Like I almost had quit. But I think that's what brought on the weight also. So I got like 288, and I was like, you know what? I'd rather smoke cigarettes and be skinny, at least for now. Or skinnier than being this big. So I started losing weight, started doing the walking, 10,000 steps a day, and then I started cheating with the crazy drugs they got out nowadays that can help you lose weight. And so soon, once I get to like 210, which is about 15, 20 pounds from now, I think I'm going to try to stop smoking again. And as I say that, I'm going to light up and spark while you take us to our next segment.
Let's go, brother. I'm going to start I want to lose more pounds than units this year. Since I'm having a terrible year betting, I'm going to turn it into a positive. I'm going to start right now, and whatever my weight is, I'm going to go climb on the scale tomorrow morning, and I'm going to try and lose more pounds than I've lost units this year. And hopefully I can gain a couple units and start losing some pounds. And that way it's just a win-win. Taking a bad situation, turning myself into a stud again. I've looked at myself in the mirror a couple times, and it's not good, Kenny. So this winter situation, weather's getting better in Iowa. We're going to start partying. But chat to me, Kenny, about the weather happening down in St. Augustine, Florida, where the TPC Sawgrass golf course is this week.
All right. It's actually in Ponte Vedra, not St. Augustine.
St. Augustine's nearby. It's all good.
Is it? I don't think it is. But anyways, the top golfers in the world, they hit the Ponte Vedra, Florida for the Players Championship at TPC Sawgrass with a total purse of like 25, 30 mils, some crazy number. Golfers are going to try to do their best to come in here and win. Also, a huge week for one and done. This is, if you're playing one and done this week, this is the week to make sure you pick somebody who can win $4.5 million for first place. Another reason golfers like this course so much is, because over the years, this course, like any type of golfer, has been able to win. There is a caveat to this at the end. Like the past winners of TPC Sawgrass are like Tim Clark, KJ Choi, Stephen Ames, Fred Funk. All in the past like 15, 16 years, these guys have won, not like 30 years ago, right? Now, Paul Goydos has 2 top 3 finishes here since 2008. Like I said, like everybody has a chance. That's what makes this tournament so great and why it can be so difficult in DFS purposes. There's so many dangers on the course, and everyone can fall victim to this at some point during the week. Now, there's a caveat for this: is since the whole switch from May to February to March, the winners have been Justin Thomas, Rory McIlroy, which is the one I went. Rory McIlroy, Justin Thomas, Scheffler twice, and Cam Smith. Right. Pretty elite guys. All of them basically have been number one or close to number one at some point in time in their careers. And that's where we've been since 2019. And that's a big year. I probably wouldn't even look at much prior to 2019 because so much has changed. Once the tournament moved from May to March, the differences on the course have been big. The biggest differences are probably the greens, the rough, and the wind change. The greens are overseeded with Poa Trivialis this time of year, which leads them to being more receptive. This leads to better putting conditions than what they played in May. The greens aren't your typical Bermuda because of the overseed. Some say the greens are very smooth and easier to putt on with these grass conditions. The prevailing winds at Sawgrass differ from March to May also. The biggest issue is on 17 and 18. With the prevailing winds now north to northeast, it makes the final 2 holes dramatically more difficult. If the wind blows hard, if the wind blows hard, golfers will be hitting, will be hitting like a hard wedge on the 17th hole instead of just doing like a little chippy on that par, on that short island par 3. And then they're going to be pulling out like driver and like hybrid on 18 sometimes. Like Tiger said that he hit 6-iron into 17, which is the island hole before with the wind. If the wind's in that direction, that's something that we could see on Saturday and Sunday especially. You could see 2 club wind maybe on Sunday and guys hitting like 9 irons, 8 irons onto that island green, making it so much more difficult. What I've realized playing this past week, we played in 30-mile-per-hour gusts. I mean, if you get that ball up there a little bit and you're not hitting it flush, you just hit it good, not flush, man, that wind can really, really take it. I hit my ball so much higher than I used to now with these new irons, and that's something that's happening in my game when I play in this wind. It's got to be tough.
Kenny, on that 17th hole, the Golf Channel brought up a diagram of the ball flights, and the green regulations went incredibly up as the ball flight came in lower. Like the higher you hit your ball, the more people miss the green. So you've got to be able to penetrate that wind on that hole for sure.
And Jason Day, you said he had like 2-iron wedge the year he won on 18, right? The year he won in May. He said in 2021 he had the driver 5-iron, right? Now these course changes can make so again, these course changes prior to 2019, I wouldn't look into it. Now the weather, of course, is going to be a factor. As of Monday, you're looking at like pretty calm Thursday and Friday. Again, it's early. It's Monday at 6 o'clock. That could change, but the weekend looks fun. The weekend looks like it could be a little bit more fun. And what we've seen the last last year was pretty easy. There wasn't that much wind. It was very, very soft. This year coming in, there hasn't been that much rain in the area, right? And what we see now, not much rain in the area and not much wind. And with these, with the overseeding, it has, just like we saw at Honda, it has made this course play a little bit easier. And what we've seen in softer conditions, last year was the most driver that usage on this course in the history of the tournament last year. I do not expect that to be the same this year because it should play firmer. We're not seeing a whole bunch of rain. There's no rain in the forecast. If I remember, it could have been lifting in place last year. I don't know, but it was super, super soft. So you saw a lot more drivers going out there, and you've seen, in the last few years since the overseed happened, more longer hitters, doing well. Rory's, JT's, Scheffler twice. Another thing that this course has is, you sort of, I'll go over this. Let me go over the course detail, and I'll keep going over more info. A couple of trends for this week. 12 of the last 14 winners have had a top 5 prior to their win in the same calendar year. Okay. The last 17 winners had a top 25 at this course before their win. The last 8 winners have had a top 33 in the prior tour start. The start right before this event that they've had, they finished 33rd or better. Those are the last 8 winners. So a few trends there for you. Now let's get to the course. The TPC Sawgrass. Pete Dye designed par 72 course of plays. They've actually added distance. They've added distance to all the par 5s this year and one of the par 4s. So it's over 7,300 yards this year. 4 par 3s, 4 par 5s. 3 of the par 5s are reachable by most, and the par 5 ninth hole can only be reached into by the longest of hitters. Like I said, there have been changes. Bunkers have been added, have been redone. Another water hazard was added. This was all in 2019. 12th hole added a new tee box to make it a drivable par 4. The most importantly, many of the green complexes were redone, and the grass and the green switched to mini Verde Bermuda to TIF Eagle Bermuda. With the date change, overseeding, and the fact that the greens are now 6 years old, the greens will be more receptive than when they played in May. It's just the way it's going to be. That leads to, typically more easier conditions, better scoring is what we're going to see in the last few years. But this is still not an easy course. Off the tee, golfers are going to face narrow tree-lined fairways with bunkers and water in play on almost all shots of the tee. Off the tee, lots of water on this course, 24 acres of water to be exact. Like most Pete Dye designs, there are many different types of dog legs on many of the holes. This will lead to players hitting less than driver on many of the holes played. The rough was up last year to around 3.5 inches, and supposedly this year it's going to be up to 4 inches. Now, keep in mind that the rough is now overseeded with rye, which makes it easier to control shots out of than pure Bermuda, but still 4 inches is 4 inches, right? That's what she said. The fairways have a lot of mounds and undulation. It can be very firm if the course is dry. Missing it in the rough on the right side can make the golfer's approach shots even more difficult because of stadium mounds, right? Here's the thing. Like, we've seen people who miss predominantly on the left do well. I mean, Scheffler, he misses on the left more often than not. Cam Smith, he misses more often on the left than not. Was Cam more of a drawer or a fader? Isn't he a drawer?
He was a snap hooker. He's
a drawer too. He misses on the left. We've seen these winners that have missed on the left more often than the right, and a big reason for that are these stadium mounts. They call it the stadium course because of the seating and the atmosphere in the last 3 holes. Now, this is true, but Pete Dye created these stadium mounds on a lot of holes, and they're just basically like little mini hills. So people who are watching, people who are watching the event live can stand on those and get a better view of the golfers playing their shots. That's why another reason why this course is really cool for fans. It does stuff like that to make your viewing enjoyment better. But what that happens is if you miss on the right side, they could be facing like baseball type swings on their approach shots. Because a lot of these, mounds are, if you miss just a little bit, it can roll up on these little mounds and give you a draw line. And a lot of the water on here is on the left side when it comes around the greens. So, they have those stats on some of the sites where like miss left heavy and stuff like that. I don't know if Fantasy National has it. I'm sure BetSperts has it. All those have it. It's nice to miss on the left. It's nice to play a draw off the tee. It's not the end all be all at this course, but it is going to help you a little bit, especially when you make mistakes. Okay. Now let's see where I was. Bunkers surround most greens. The greens are small, very, very small. Bunkers surround most greens, and once again, a lot of water is going to be surrounding them as well. The greens themselves are multi-tiered, undulated, and tricky. Typical Pete Dye design. Since 1992, there's been more 3-putts on this course than any other non-major course on tour. Again, they're using a TIF Eagle Bermuda, overseeded with Poa Trivialis, stip meter rating of 12.5 or more. The outcome, of course, is going to go down to that last 3-hole stretch, which, with the wind change makes it a lot more interesting. We already talked about 17 and 18, and 16, of course, is a reachable par 5 with a lot of trouble all around the green. Anything from a 3 to an 8 is possible on 16. I think a few years ago, I think Rafael Cabrera Bayo made a double eagle on 16, right? So obviously, anything can happen. Then golfers move on to 17. 17 is technically like one of the 6 easiest holes on the course until probably Sunday, right? When you get that pressure going, that hole gets a lot tougher. And of course, long, difficult par 4 on 18. Since 2003, the hole has played over 2,000 strokes over par. That's the 18th hole at the Players. What are you looking for in golfers this week?
Kenny, I think you've covered it for the most part. I think just wedge intensity. I think the way the world is moving now with the ball striking and the drivers and analytics, we've seen a lot more wedges come from 100 to 150 this last year. Now, maybe it had to do with a bit of the softer conditions. I don't know if that's going to be the case again this week, but the guys are just playing ultra aggressive nowadays. And as a result, we see a lot of those wedges coming through. So I'll be looking for that. And you just need an overall good game here. You cannot be showing up with bullet holes in your armor, or your game has to be bulletproof, so to speak. I think that's what I was looking for there. Driver. Short courses under 7,200 yards. Can you gain strokes there? Can you make sure that you dominate from 100 to 200 yards? Can you get up and down from around the greens, out of bunkers, avoiding the water, and then making sure you can knock those 5 to 15 footers in for par saves when they need to happen? So overall, just a very simple kind of a week. Ultra volatile. I'm looking for guys that kind of spike here and there, do that kind of thing. It's a weird week. We can get into the game theory of all of the DFS stuff a little bit later, but you have seen some of the best golfers just absolutely suck it up at this venue, just randomly. So don't get too in love with anyone this week.
It's 30th out of 44th in course history stickiness. So it's not that strong of correlation. Now you can still look at it. I'm probably still looking at it in cash and stuff, but I would not count out guys, especially if their game has been elite here recently, who have struggled here in the past. I would not knock them out.
Like if I pull up here the screen for the best recent finishes at this golf course since 2019, we'll get 2020 out of there. Take a look at all these guys. They've all got like miscuts. Brian Harmon's the only one since 2019 that doesn't have a miscut in the mix there. Tom Hoagie hasn't missed a cut. Miscuts in pretty much everybody else's profile. So don't get in love with anyone here. Like, it's going to be a fun week. And especially with that weather showing up, granted, it's going to be over the weekend after the cut, but maybe keep a bit of units in your pocket for after the cuts, man, because we could definitely see some weather impact the guys going off later or earlier, something like that.
What I'm seeing with the weather is Saturday morning is supposed to still be calm. The winds are supposed to pick up Sunday afternoon. So depending on how close the people near the bottom who just make the cut, right? I mean, that could be something to look at where you can get a large number on a guy who's, 7, 8 strokes back. I mean, I think Scotty was 9 back heading into Saturday last year. And I got him at 28 to 1, which you don't ever see before Sundays anymore. Like, I think he got to like 60 to 1 this past Sunday. That's like the biggest one you'll see. You'll never see that before Sunday ever with Scotty, unless he misses a cut. He misses a cut, he'll probably still be 50 to 1. So I mean, really, that's just the way he is. But it's something to pay attention to. Saturday morning, it's early, so all of this can change. But it's looking like that could be the time where, a guy who ball struck, who was really good at ball striking, somebody like a Sepp Straka last year, just struggled after round 1, made the cut, barely, with a really, really strong round on Friday. And it was, one of the earlier tee times. That could be someone to look at when you're live betting, 80 to 1, 100 to 1, those type of deals. Throw some placements in there. Yeah, throw some placements in there. All right. What's next? Betting segment, right? Let's go to our
golf bets, baby.
Yeah. Go ahead.
We are going to be doing some kickback golf bets this segment, and we're going to be diving into them using code FGD15 when you go over to kickbackgolf.com. Save yourself 15% over there. Help us subsidize the sources down south. We haven't had too many stories from Kenny in a long time. We need the funding over there. They've got baseball, they've got basketball jerseys of all your favorite golfers, some ladies included, and they've got their alma maters on those jerseys too. They're very, very cool looking types of jerseys, and I have a couple myself, which are very, very comfortable, and they are flashy as balls when you go to Topgolf, stinging 2 irons in the cold. You look phenomenal. Will you look as good as me? Maybe not, but you can always try. You got to aspire to great things in your life. So do that by using code FGD15 at kickbackgolf.com, baby. Kenny, go ahead with your bets. I'll do the feisty 5 at the end.
All right, so here we go. Here are my outright bets for the players. The first one, it's going to be Colin Morikawa, 22-1 with 3 places each way. Let's go ahead, Mike, put up the graphic that I told you to put up. This is from Rick Gaiman's at Rick Rungood. Rick Gaiman's X feed. He had this graphic up about Colin Morikawa. Funny story. Rick actually gave me my first. Make sure you check out all the stuff over at rickrungood.com. Also, all his work at CBS Sports. One of the top guys out there in our industry. Just one of the nicest guys. He actually gave me my start in the industry. My first job was writing course previews for Mr. Rick Gaiman. $10 a week back in 2015. It was worth it. Got me my start, got me in the door, and it's led from there. But if you're looking at the stat, it's the 3 stages of Colin Morikawa's career. The first one on the far left, you could see 47 starts. He gained 1.05 strokes total per event. 4 wins, 7 top 7s, 15 top 10s, 20 top 20s. You look at the middle of his career. His next 47 gained 1.08 strokes total in his next 47. Only 2 wins, 14 top 5s though, 19 top 10s, and 23 top 20s. Now look at his last 48 events. He has gained 30% more strokes total than his first 96 events, right? But only has 1 win. 11 top 5s, 15 top 10s, 25 top 20s. I know it hurt last week. He did not perform very well on Sunday, but you got to think a win has to be coming for him at some point in time. He can go on runs too, right? He went 4th, and 2nd last year at the PGA Colonial Memorial. 2nd and 3rd, Century Farmers in early 23. 5th, 2nd, Century Farmers in 22, 2nd, 4th, and 1st at the Memorial US Open and the Open Championship in 21. He's gained almost 9 strokes ball striking in 2 of his last 4. It's been the best year. Last 12 months, it's been the best of his career when it comes to short game and putting. Now that he's got, looks like, in the last couple of events, that ball striking has come back. We've seen it. Couple of runner-ups in his last 4 events. A win is coming, and I think it happens this week. I'm going to go ahead and use them. 22-1. I took the 3 places to get the juiced up number on Bet365. Next bet. I bet a bunch of losers this week. So we'll have to see how this goes. But my next pick. Tommy Fleetwood, 28-1 with 8 places. Form is incredible. Top 25s in 12 straight, including 6 top 6s. Okay, he's 50%ing top 6s, 50%ing of his time in his last 12 events. Been in contention here before. Only finished outside the top 25 3 times in the last 12 months on the PGA Tour. Tee to green has been superb, averaging 4.7 strokes gained in his last 10 tour events. Right, that's solid work. Really strong weekend at Bay Hill, going from making the cut by 1 to finishing 11th. This is the type of course you can win. We saw Henley last week, so Henley's sort of making me bet losers, right? I'm thinking these losers have a chance. Morikawa,
Thomas Nietzsche,
right? Fleetwood. Yeah, these guys have been winning. I think it can happen. I think Fleetwood can happen, and I really like the 8 places. I really like the 8 places for Mr. Fleetwood. My next one's going to be Chalk City. It's going to be Sepp Straka, 45-1 with 8 places. Irons look great. Number 3 in my model. If it turns out soft like last year somehow, he's number 1 and birdies are better. last 24 rounds. But if it's difficult and firm, we know we can win after seeing him at PGA National a few years ago and going minus 12 the last 3 days at Bay Hill last week. Top 15, 2 top 15s in his, he has a bunch of top 15s in his last 6 events, a couple of top 16s here in the last 3 years. So we're going to go him. Next, it's going to be Willie Z, 75-1 with 8 places. Best ball striking week last year in the last 12 months. Is he finally back? He looks 100% healthy. 3 top 25s in 4 events so far this year. Been good at avoiding bogeys so far this season, even though his putting is not great. He's had, he doesn't 3-putt that often. Really good 3-putt avoidance numbers. The number seems fair. He was like 20-1 last year. He had a little bit better form, but his form's not horrible coming in. And I like him at 75-1 with 8 places. Denny McCarthy, 75-1, 8 places. I'll explain him later. He will be my hustler play of the week. So we'll go over Denny later, but 75-1 for that. Next is going to be a couple bombs. It's going to be Nick Taylor at 125-1 with 8 places. Iron Game has been like elite, like not bullshitting, elite since the beginning of the fall swing. Not even since the beginning of like this year, since the beginning of the fall. His iron game has been elite. Of course, he's had that win. Finished as high as 16th here in the past, 26th last year. 3 wins in the last 20 months. We know he can win. I like that number, 125-1. You get a 1/5, 25-1 for a top 8. I'll take that also. Okay. My final one's going to be Joel Dahmen, 140-1. 16th in my model. Gain strokes, whenever he plays difficult, gain strokes well on difficult courses. Gained 11 strokes tee to green in his last 2 events. 2 top 10s in his last 4 events. 2 top 12s here in the last 4 years. He said he's taking the game a bit more seriously than what we saw on full swing a couple of years ago. And it seems like it's working. The guy's going out there playing really, really strong golf. So my full card for this week, it's going to be Morikawa, 22-1 with 3 places. Fleetwood, 28-1 with 8 places. Straka, 45-1 with 8 places. Willie Z, 75-1 with 8 places. Denny McCarthy, 75-1, 8 places. Nick Taylor, 125-1, 8 places. Joel Dahmen, 140-1 with 8 places.
Beautiful. I've got a couple overlaps with you, Kenny. And I found a 200-1 Joel Dahmen on FanDuel. No each way there, but I felt like the 200 was a ridiculous number, which for a guy that's got a 12th and 11th in his last 5 starts at this golf course, I'll take that along with 2 top 10s this year. He's been finishing inside the top 10 a little more than he has in the last little while. So I love a Joel Dahmen situation there. Nick Taylor is 6th in the field in strokes gained approach over the last little while. If I use my weighted strokes gained, I can actually pull that up for you right now because it's a really interesting situation. He's been crushing that approach metrics. Like, you are not lying when it comes to saying it is elite. He is 6th in the field of the best flushes in the world. So we got a lot to like there from Nick Taylor. I also have a Justin Rose, 120-1 ticket. He is sitting mighty fine. Top 10 at the API last week. Guess what he did there? He finished 6th on approach and hit a lot of fairways. So his ball striking is coming in real nice. He's finished inside the top 10 here a couple times in the past. And we had a 3rd place finish at Pebble Beach, which he plays well at in the past as well. So like, if you're taking a Justin Rose stance at playing golf courses he plays well at, this is definitely one of them. And it kind of puts him on a level playing ground compared to the rest. Jay Rose is not anyone that's going to be taking apart Bay Hill with distance. Like, he's an old dog. I mean, the first time he played the Players was 2003. So that's 22 years ago. This dude's old. And he's still balling out there. So I'm a big fan of Justin Rose, and I've laddered him. I've gone with the top 20 at a plus 400. I've gone with the top 10 at plus 900,000, whichever one you want. You can find your books and shop around there. And then the top 5 at 22-1 as well. You can find better numbers if you're looking for dead heats or ties paid in full. You pick your poison there and what books you have available to you. But Justin Rose is trending hard right now. He's going to be my ladder play of the week this week. The Frisky Five this week is also going to be quite interesting. If I pull up my screen over here, I'll show you guys the Maniacs placement tool that you can find in my Patreon. It is a way I go about figuring out where I'm going to go. So I'll pull up Bet365 here. I'll also top up there Ludwig Aberg. Top 10 is going to be one of my other bets at plus 170. I'm a big fan of him. If you take a look at what Ludwig gets up to, he's actually quite feisty when it comes to these top 10s. I've hidden this column over here. Don't mind me while I'm just fucking around on this thing, but we're going to hit the upside rankings, go A to Z, and then all of a sudden you see Ludwig. His safety is not nearly the same as his upside. When it comes to safety and upside, I'm looking for safety for top 20s and top 40s, upside for top 10s and top 5s. If you take a look at Ludwig, he's finishing inside the top 5, basically 1 in every 3 starts. Inside the top 20, 1 in every 2. Like, that is so much closer to the top 5 than it is any other bet. So you absolutely want to go to Ludwig in the top 5 market. I use this bet for top 10 on Mayo's show because a top 10 is a little easier to hit than a top 5. But if you're betting long term, I would definitely be betting the top 5 for Ludwig, which is a plus 320. If you take a look at the plus 320 over there, it should provide us with a 12% value. If you type in 170, you're getting 9%. So maybe you can bet a bit of both of them and go from there. So we'll just knock out Ludwig as my top 5 golfer here. Go to Colin Morikawa. I'm going to be betting him top 20. This guy is far too consistent to be not placing that bet on him. If we go take a look at Colin Morikawa's odds, minus 150 for a top 20, let's plug that into the model here and figure out where that goes. 17% edge. Boom chakalaka, Bob's your uncle. We just spoke about Colin Morikawa's struggles on the back end of the tournaments in round 4 on Sundays. This top 20 helps you capitalize on those first 3 good rounds, right? Because he's balling out round 1, he gains like 2.5 strokes. Gains in the mid 1.5s for rounds 2 and 3. Round 4 goes a little backwards. That's where you want to rock and roll. If we're taking a look at Xander Schauffele, he finished inside the top 10 56% of the time. Now, caveat here, we know Xander's a little rusty, but if you were to bet him long term, this is the way to go. I'd bet him top 10. He is just doing it routinely. So if we take a look at his top 10 number over on the scores over here, plus 250 is his odds. We know that he finishes inside the top 10 56% of the time. Plus 250 tells us that it's happening 29% of the time. There's a massive edge there, but also the model doesn't know Xander still coming back from a bit of rust. So that's the way I'd go there. Then we spoke about Rory McIlroy last week. We said it's been since the 2023 Open Championship on the PGA Tour that Rory's had a top 10 that wasn't a top 5. And it happened again this week. He never top 10, so that doesn't even matter. You want to be betting Rory on the upside. I thought this was a mistake last week. He's got the best top 5 rate in the field. Better than Scotty Scheffler finishing inside the top 5. He finishes inside the top 5 as often as he does top 10. So if you're betting Rory McIlroy, you want to be betting him top 5 instead of top 10. So go plus 250 over there. He's got the same exact odds for a top 5 as Xander's top 10, but it's going to give you a solid option in that market. And then Scotty Scheffler, I think, is like plus 120 right now for a top 5. At this golf course, you absolutely want to lean into that department because he's finishing top 5 almost half the time. I don't know about Scotty right now. He's a little sketchy when it comes to form. So probably paying the least amount of entry fee at plus 120 versus a top 10 when he's going to be minus 150, whatever that kind of emphasis is on that number. It's not ideal. You know, you're going to want to lay $10 to win 12 versus 15 to win 10 because Scotty's not quite playing the golf we're looking for at the moment. So that's the Feisty Five for you guys using the Maniacs placement tool, using all the different things over there. I think we like the Feisty Five. Is that the name we're going to roll with here, Kenny?
Frisky Five. I like the Frisky.
The Frisky Five.
Yeah.
Feisty Five, Frisky Five. Okay. We'll
coin flip.
Clean up a little bit, yeah. Kenny's frozen. He's feisty. He's frisky. He's back, scratching his beard. All right, folks, let's chat about some blood, sweat, and DFS tears for the players this week. And we've got Scotty Scheffler at 12.8. And as a result, we got a $5,000 bargain bin going on this week, baby. And there are some fun names. Spoiler, there's a guy at the bottom of the 5K range that we have on our outright cards that is going to be a lot of my lineups this week. So Let's chat about that, Kenny. Should we just break down the whole 10K range?
Yeah, let's talk about it because, I mean, let's start with Scotty. I mean, yeah, he finished 11th last week, but I still expect he's a two-time winner here. I still expect him to garner a good amount of ownership. If you want to go Scotty or Rory, I'm not going to tell you not to. Rory, of course, has won here before. His form is there. He's going to play well. He likes this course. I would go Scotty or Rory personally, but I think a lot of people would. So game theory-wise, maybe you go to Rory, but if you really want to go game theory, sort of like Xander. I sort of like Xander. I'm thinking you get him because there's a 5K range. I expect this 10K range, most everyone to be 15% or higher, except for Patrick Cantlay, and except for maybe Xander. He still finished 40th last week, but the ball striking was fun. He did not look rusty ball striking. His short game needed a little bit of work. Hopefully, and usually his short game is very, very good. So to come back from, a 2-month break and strike the ball as well as he did, and his main downfall, I think he lost like 6 strokes on his short. So, I mean, hopefully that can just come back because he's normally a very, very good short game specialist. Maybe you get him at 12%, 13% this week. And that could be like a milli maker winner right there for you up here because the guy, we know he's an exceptional golfer. Now, do I have the balls to do that? I'm not sure. Now, one thing I do think is because of this 5K range, I think the 10K range is going to be very, very popular. People are going to go high, maybe do 2 in the 10K. I think the 9K range might be because once you get below JT, like Cantlay, Matsuyama, Fleetwood, Berger, Henley, Clark, they're sort of like it's a whole different step down, right? I would expect that ownership in the 9K range to be a little bit lower than what we expect. But let's go ahead and finish off. My first cash game cornerstone is going to be Morikawa. I just believe in him. I think that a win is going to have to happen. And I think even after the heartbreak last week and the heartbreak at the Century and the heartbreak in every fucking runner-up he's had since his last win 4 years ago, we've seen that people can come back to these and actually win, like fucking Henley, right? And so I'm going to go with Morikawa. I like him. We already spoke about all the numbers and, all that stuff. So Morikawa is my first cash game cornerstone. I'm really thinking about Xander. And I like Justin Thomas again. Like the guy was like top 5 in ball striking last week again. At some point in time, the putter's going to work and he's going to win an event by 3 or 4 strokes. It's just going to happen. Now, when? Who knows? But it's going to be tough for me to narrow these guys down when it comes to only 3 lineups. But I think when it comes to game theory, Xander might be a great play. I think if I'm just going to play regular, I would play Scheffler. For cash, I like Morikawa, and I don't mind like a Morikawa JT start with 5Ks because you got like Mike Kim down there at 5,900. You got Dahmen down there. I mean, you could do it, and it's not that difficult.
Exactly. So I know I started like Ludwig, Dahmen, and then it just gets fun. You know what I'm saying? Like you have so much money to spend on this. You could have easily 3 studs if you find a guy you're comfortable with down at the bottom in the 5K bargain bin over there. We've got some really, really good options. I mean, Ludwig at 10-2 is easy. It's $2,600 cheaper than Scotty. Now, did Ludwig completely have a malfunction, short circuit, shit the bed, whatever you want to call it on Saturday? Yes. Maybe that keeps a little bit of ownership off of him, but he is ideal for these kind of venues. And Kenny, are we okay? Like, what do you think about Ludwig's chipping? It's easily, like, if you take a look at the top 10 guys, like in strokes gained, all of them have boxes checked across the board. JT's like the one dude that doesn't gain strokes putting, and Ludwig's the one dude over the last 12 months that doesn't gain strokes around the green. You think that's going to impact him here, or is he just such a good ball striker that, he just hits so many greens in regulations that he's just leaning on that putter that's his absolute weapon at the moment?
I worry about Oberg a little this week. When it comes to like the proximity ranges I'm looking for, he's been bad. From like 125 to 175, he has not been good. He also lots of 3 putts for him, one of the worst in the field when it comes to 3-putt avoidance here recently in the last 24 rounds. For me, like courses that I would like for him is something where you a little bit more when it comes to more long iron play. Is something that I would look for a little bit more when it comes to Oberg. I mean, at some point in time, he's going to be good enough where it doesn't really matter. But now, early in his career, he's the one guy I'll probably fade up here. Was that a smart move? I don't know. Probably not. He'll probably go out and win, but there's going to be no Oberg for me this week.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be leaning into him a little bit because I didn't believe he could get it done at Pebble. And then he just putts his way. He's just one of these guys that putts, like we've seen these surfaces. Cam Smith gained more strokes putting than he did losing off the tee. Remember, he lost like 5 strokes off the tee and gained 10 strokes putting. You can do that kind of thing. I think Ludwig easily makes up, like he's like when Aldrich was duffing his chips and then making those 18-foot bombs, that's similar to like what Ludwig gets up to. I think 10-2, I'm okay with that. And Kenny, like speaking about strokes gained inside 100 to 150, JT is the only guy that's inside the top 5 for me in strokes gained in the 10K range. Then you get Tommy Fleetwood, who's 4th at $9,800, JT 2nd. There's like the best golfers in the world aren't like the best wedge players. They're all like good mid-iron to long iron players, So this week is really interesting to see how it unfolds. And as a result, like Xander's not the greatest wedge player either. So maybe that is one reason to maybe not leave him alone, even though he did almost win this thing last year. So some ownership needs to come in order to make that Xander decision, I do believe, and then we can go from there. But I'll be leaning into Rory and Ludwig. I think Rory being $1,300 cheaper than Scotty, people think he's broken. Kenny, he went ahead and changed his driver and 3 woods last week at Bay Hill and was the first time he's lost strokes off the tee since the FedEx St. Jude. It's the second time he's lost strokes off the tee since the Players last year.
He still finished, 14th?
And then finished 14th. You know what I'm saying? So, like, why are you changing equipment like this, brother? Let's figure it out. I think he's going back to the stuff that's tried and tested now. And around this golf course, you're not going to be hitting that much driver as Rory McIlroy anyway. So in the 9s, Kenny, love the 9K range. And last week, the one lineup that took down some of the biggest contests started with a $9,000 click or a Russell Henley at $8,800 or something crazy like that. So balance builds last week absolutely crushed. You can start with anyone here in the 9s.
I think you're going to get reduced ownership here. I mean, if you look at it, you got Tony Finau, who just sucks in this course, right? Sam Burns hasn't been playing very good golf. Russell Henley won last week, which, is not a deterrent as much as it used to be, but his form here has not been great. He's missed a lot of cuts. Shane Lowry missed a lot of cuts here. Decky is probably like Decky and Fleetwood are probably the safe plays. All right. But I mean, again, how much upside are you getting on a Decky who's been sort of meh here in the last month and a half? Fleetwood's my second cash game cornerstone. He's going to be the most popular play in the 9K range. If you want to fade him, that could be a pretty good fade in GPPs because he's going to be popular. I think he is the cream of the crop when it comes to this 9K range, at least when you're playing DFS. But I mean, other guys that you could probably look at, I would take a peek at Hideki. I like Shane Lowry. I'm going to go against the grain with him. He's been playing such good golf that he was almost one of my hustler plays of the week. I think his ownership is still going to get over 10%, even though his form here is not the greatest. So because of the way he has been playing with his current form. So that's why I did not put him there.
Is he playing with Rory McIlroy, Kenny? He's playing his absolute best golf playing with his butt buddy the last little while. Like the moment you yank him from Rory's presence, he's just a complete bozo. Like he's just rudderless in the storm.
What do you think? What do you think of Daniel Berger? Because they made this pricing a couple of weeks ago. Like that price seems very, very high for me. But like
he could be single digits owned. Then you just
that's what I'm thinking.
Like why not?
Could it be worth? Like if you're mass multi-entering here,
yes.
Like it could probably be worth it. Like I don't MME anymore, but it seems like 7% Berger, who's had a bunch of top 20s in his last 6 events, could be someone to look at because I don't think people are going to pay up for it.
Yeah, that pricing is hilarious. It's so funny. Like, why don't they just change the pricing? Like, the tournament hasn't started yet. Like, just change.
People have already made lineups. People have already made lineups.
I
Once
guess.
Carter
If
comes
you've
out, it's already made.
Okay. I didn't think that far. My bad. All right. In the nines, I'm a big fan of Shane Lowry as well. I think he's going to be a solid pivot off of Tommy. I might go quite heavy on Lindeque. I mean, if you're looking at this dude's weighted proximities, delightful. You know, he's incredible from 150 to 200. And Lindeque's got one of the better Players Championship track records.
Well,
like he's
Tim Anderson has proclaimed his 2020 players as a win since Decky was winning after the first couple of rounds, right?
Yes.
Before it got canceled.
I thought you said he's claimed him as his one and done pick this week. Otherwise, I was about to throw my President's Cup hat across the room. So we'll have to pay attention to see if that's the case this week. I could see myself playing a lot of Hideki Matsuyama. I think people are off of him this week. Maybe we catch people sleeping. Incredible course history. I know we said it's not that sticky here, but if it's a positive course history, I'm into that. You know, like guys play well at golf courses, they play well at. So Hideki Matsuyama, and we know what he can do when he starts spiking. You know, the guy is sensational, incredible, all that jazz. Sungjae Im, Kenny, has he found his groove again after his caddy called out Sungjae Im's tracker on X, calling him a bitter tracker? Totally disagree. I came in for Sungjae tracker. I got you, brother. Don't stress. He's probably the best tracker there is out there. He's got badass memes. He's super hype. Sungjae's been playing like shit. He's calling it like it is. Finally balls out. And the tracker called him out, and then he balled out at the Players, at the API. So,
One round,
return to form this
really.
week. Hey,
I mean, we'll
doesn't
see.
matter. All it takes is one.
Again, I think the ownership's going to be limited, going to be lower in this 9K range. And if you have a guy that you like in this 9K range, it's not Fleetwood. It's easy to go overweight on. I would think. I'm not an ownership guru. I could be 100% fucking wrong, right?
Yeah.
But this is just what I'm thinking. Outside of Fleetwood, I think you pick a 9K guy that you like and roster him a bunch, you're going to be well over the field average, and you're going to have some leverage.
A Matsuyama in that department. Getting out of here, if you have a palate like Tim Anderson, maybe you can appreciate the taste of a Victor Hovland at $9,000.
Yeah.
The ball striking is there. All it takes is, if you want to be like, he's going to be super low owned, I would imagine. He's done all the right ball striking. The ball striking is there. It's not like he's striking it badly. He's just losing 6 strokes putting. And at some point when he fixes the putting, we're looking Gucci, baby. He's top 10 in this field in ball striking over the last little while. So just thought I'd mention that as we're getting out of the $9,000 range over there into the 8th, where we've got a Jordan Spieth, a Maverick McNeely, your boy Willie Z, Kenny, Step Straka from last week. What a great hustler call, by the way, my brother. That was such a good call for you. Worked out really nicely. So slap me with some 8K slooties over here.
Well, Step Straka is going to be my third cash game cornerstone for the week. We already explained what he went in the betting segment. I'm going to go with him. Course history, form, everything's there. Model, everything's there. Of course, I like Willie Z. Talked about him on the betting segment also. Siwoo is a guy that I'm going to play. A former winner here. He's become super consistent. Like him and Sungjae have flipped the script. I talked about this last week, where Siwoo has become the consistent one who gets the good finishes week in and week out. And then Sungjae has missed cuts where he pops every now and then. Is the way it's been. I do like Siwoo a lot this week. And I like Jason Day. Really, really good Saturday. He looks as healthy as ever as he's been in the last decade, probably since he was the number one player in the world. And at this price and the way he's playing, he can go low. I like Jason Day.
Yeah. Unless it's a Sunday for Jason Day. That's about
85% of the golfers on tour right now.
No, it's like, where have the killers gone? We've got all these guys just doing these like corporate sponsorships, and they don't know how to close out for their guys. But it is what it is. Minwoo Lee finding himself $8,000 at the bottom of the barrel, not interested there. Benny on, Kenny, 8K flat. He does very nicely on his short positional venues. Found a bit of form again. Yep. Finally, he went and won that Genesis out in Korea, and then showed up like he finished at the bottom of the leaderboard at that tournament. I don't know what he's got up to. Let's get that CJ Cup. Let's get that President Cup vibes rocking and rolling.
I mean, we can just rock the Ben in.
There we go. We did wow, what a classic hat switch there by the co-hosts on the show. You guys are getting the very best production over here. Also, shout out Mike. This show is the best produced show on the golf betting platform. I mean, if you go look at the post-production, what we put out and then we see on YouTube is incredible. The Hustler song that Mike sang for you guys, I got to give him some props. That is just no other producers out there doing that nonsense, okay? You are the best.
Mixtape coming soon. Thank you so much.
Platinum in 2026.
The one thing I say, my internet has been going in and out the entire show, so this post-production is going to be extra tough. So thank you. Thank you.
We love you, Mike. That's why I'm saying it, okay? In the eights for me, Sepp Straka, let's freaking go. I think a little bit of Tom Kim is never a bad option at a golf course where you don't have to dial it out a million miles. I will be also looking at some Maverick McNeely at $8,900. I think he's very, very frisky around this venue. And then that's going to be it. I'm going to be hitting that 9K range pretty hard. So I think the eights will kind of dance around there. In the sevens, Kenny, I think we need one more cash game cornerstone from you, don't we?
Yeah, that's in the, I think that's in the 5K range.
In the 5K range.
Yeah, it's in the fives.
Well,
yep.
We will just have to wait for that then. So let's get into the sevens.
Let's go into the 7K range and let's go ahead and Mike, go ahead, hit the music. Hit the music. It's amazing that Mike did this. Like he said, we got demonetized the first week we did the Hustle Play of the Week. We actually played Rick Ross's song. This time we just use his beat, and that's Mike in the background singing Rick Ross's lyrics, and that's legal on YouTube. So that's the way we will be going. So Hustler Player of the Week, after a solid 5th place finish from Sepp Straka last week, this week we are going with Denny McCarthy as the Hustler Play of the Week, outside the top 30 in my model. In 5 appearances here, he's only bested 35th place once. Surrounded by a couple of horse courses in Adam Scott and Brian Harmon, plus right next to Keegan, who shot a record 29 on the front at Bay Hill on Sunday. So I expect his ownership to be around Straka. I think Straka ended up being like 8-10 last week. I expect Denny to be around that area this week. Now, his iron game has been the best it has ever been in his career. First time ever in his career, he has gained 2 or more strokes with his irons in 4 consecutive events. Okay, this is the best he's ever hit the ball ever. Right? Putter went nuclear last week and hasn't lost strokes with the putter the week after a 6+ strokes gained putting week on the green in over 2 years. Right? Has putted extremely well here at this event since the overseed. Okay? So you got the irons, you got the putting, you got hopefully low ownership. Hustler Play of the Week. I'm hoping for a top 10, top 8 actually, so I can get that placement money for Denny McCarthy. 7,800. I'm sorry, 7,700 Hustler Play of the Week. Other guys that I do like in this range, Corey Connors with a nice showing last week with his iron play, hitting a bunch of fairways. He should be in the mix. Like I said, Brian Harmon and Adam Scott are course horses. Nick Taylor, we talked about him earlier. I do like Aaron Rye down there at $7,100. Supremely accurate off the tee. Has been playing good golf. Your South African brethren, Bezuidenhout, with a couple of top 15s in a row. There's definitely some good plays here in the 7K range. Who do you like?
There are some good plays in the 7K range, folks, but do not fall in love with the chalky option in the 7Ks. Okay? Like, we've showed you the best finishes at this golf course and all those miscuts along the way. Just because it's a good play doesn't mean it's okay. Okay? So let's make sure
I won't be using Nick Taylor probably in GPPs. More than likely. He is in my cash lineup as of now. Him and so my cash, and I'll go over all my cash key cornerstones, and I'll give you my full lineup here because it's the players. But I have him and I have Siwoo also. I have Nick Taylor and Siwoo in my cash to go along with the 3 other cash game cornerstones that I have. So that's not a bad starting 5. I don't think Morikawa, Fleetwood, Straka, Siwoo, and Nick Taylor to start out the cash lineup. Who do you like in the 7K range?
Yeah, and I'm going to go again here and say that I'm going to be playing a bit more multi-entry lineups this week. I don't stick to a set structure like you do, Kenny. I tend to just sometimes do single entries or 3-entry maxes. I think I'm going to try and find as many single entries. The contests out there are disgusting right now. Like, they are just so top heavy. 10th place is not getting anywhere remotely close to 10% of the pie. It's disgusting. Or 10%.
Well, those are all the big ones, right? You got to find those single entries with less people that that are higher dollar.
Yeah.
That's how you get better payouts. Really.
But even the 44, I was checking that out, and it's like gross. So make sure you're not clicking on a historical tournament, like a contest that's been good to you in the past with that payout. Find those single entries, the 3-entry maxes. Make sure that 10% of the 10th place prize money needs to be 10%, because these are much bigger contests. So if you're finishing in top 10 and you're not getting rewarded for it, it's going to really suck, because if you chose the wrong contest. So be sure that you are figuring that out for yourselves, and then we're going to go with that. Akshay Bhatia just seems like a golf course that finally kind of suits his ball striking prowess. A little more action, with the short irons, with being a bit more accurate off the tee. I think he's due for some sort of regression back to what he's capable of. Love Aaron Rai. Lee Hodges is very interesting, Kenny. He's a very, very solid iron player historically. He's out.
Right?
Oh, God.
He's out.
What happened to him?
I think he withdrew.
Oh, God.
Yeah, he wasn't on my list today, so yeah.
He must be injured.
He
Okay.
didn't come up.
My bad. It's been a long day for me. I've got a sick baby, so little thing here and there. Anyway, Brian Harmon, big fan of him. Keegan Bradley, I'm in. I'm okay. I think he suits his golf course quite nicely. I'm not going to get too perturbed by his popularity potentially after such a good showing at API. I'm out on Corey Connors. I just don't do it. I had him last week and he did me nicely, so I'm going to let him do his thing from then on out. In the 6s, Kenny, you got one more range after this. Who are you digging in the 6s?
I got one that's just pure gut play. I mean, nothing really. He's going to be less than 5% owned. I like JT Poston. No one's going to roster him. I think he could be, really, really low owned. And it's just a gut feeling for me. I just have a feeling about him. I've actually seen him swing clubs live. We had this one little tournament I went to where you had to beat JT Poston on a par 3. Really, really nice guy. He's about 5'7", 120 pounds wet. But I just feel like this is the type of course that could do well for him. And then, of course, my battery on my laptop just went out, so I can't see any of the pricing. But I do like him. Other guys in the 6K range. Why don't you go ahead with some more 6K while I bring up another story?
I was going to say, you're doing incredible without another side piece there, Kenny. This must be the first time in your life without a side piece. But Brian Campbell, $6,500, someone I'm a big fan of. Love this course fit. Finally getting a good course for him. The Cognizant was a very similar situation. If you're looking for guys in the 6s and 5s, the Cognizant isn't a terrible comp course to kind of lean into, because all the shitty guys played that tournament. So you should have some very recent comp course history to lean into. And as a result, we're going to talk about some Max McGreevy. Very accurate off the tee, playing some really solid golf right now. Made the cut at Bay Hill, $6,600. My guy, Jay Rose, born in the South African state. Let's freaking go. Moved over to England. I've taken a photo with him. He's blocked me on X. It is what it is. I hope he doesn't block anything on the golf course and hits them long and straight like the irons were balling out at API. Tom Hoagie, Kenny, we showed he hasn't missed a freaking cut here in the last 5 years. Tom Hoagie, $6,100. Let's freaking go. And we spoke about Mathieu Pavon being that guy you just always play. I think Austin Eckroat's becoming that guy. I don't understand what he does. He's a psycho. I'm sure there's someone locked up in his basement. But $6,100, this guy's got capabilities of just absolutely dismantling any golf course if he's in the mood. We never know. I don't think he ever does. And as a result, he can suck it up very badly, but when he pops, he pops. So he's also got some good comp course history, I think, with some Wyndham Championship types and things like that. And then I'm always going to throw out Mackenzie Hughes. We showed a bit of form last week. I think he's been struggling to get back on track. I'm a big fan of Mackenzie Hughes in the 6s. Are you back
JJ Spawn? 6,700. I think it comes top 10 in my model. I can't see it anymore because my laptop's out of batteries, but I don't want to stop the show to get that done. So I like him. Top 10 in my model. 2 top 3s already this season, early in the year. So he's been playing good golf. I like JJ Spawn. Ricky Fowler has shown a little glimpse of life the last couple of times we've seen him out there. Again, another former winner. That's a guy that I will go with this week. And then once we get down past the 6K range to get to the 5,900, Mike Kim might be a fade for me. He's just been playing so. I think he's going to be really, really popular. He's getting a lot of pub. I think you could see him as one of the highest owned guys in the 5 and 6K range. And I'll just go ahead and dismiss him, even though he is my cousin. Well, what about Nicholas Højgaard coming in with a couple of top 20s in his last 2 events? You know, he can compete with the big boys. I mean, he finished top 10 in the Olympics, right? So I like Højgaard. His stats were looking very, very strong. And my final cash game cornerstone is going to be, and before we do that, Doug Gim at 5,600 is another guy who actually plays well at the Players. The last time we saw him play was probably the best we've seen him in a while. Really, really strong finish. Carl Phillips, Sunday red with the win in Puerto Rico last week at $5,500. And my final cash game cornerstone is going to be Joel. In Jesus' name we pray. Dahmen is that's how we're going with Joel this week. We already talked about him. So my cash game cornerstones for this week are going to be Colin Morikawa at 10,500. Tommy Fleetwood at 90. Where is Tommy? Tommy Fleetwood at 9,800. Sepp Straka at 8,600. And then Joel Dahmen at 51. And of course, I fill out the rest of my lineup with Nick Taylor and Siwoo Kim. If you guys want to tail, just don't tell anyone because that's actually breaking DraftKings rules.
Yeah. So hypothetically, if you were to do that, that's exactly how you'd go, Kenny. I totally believe you. Andrew Novak for me, $5,700. He's also one of these guys. You're going to get your heart broken by him every now and then, but at the same time, he's going to come through, absolutely crush like he did. He had some really bad, nasty lies on Sunday in the bunkers. Like, the variance of golf is just brutal at times. Andrew Putnam, another Andrew, I'm in. Your boy Seamus from a couple weeks ago, I'm in on him too. Justin Lauer, however you want to call him. Isaiah Cylinder at 54. That guy is an absolute ball striker. He misses cut. Also made the cut, and he misses at least 2 or 3 footers a tournament. Like, he's just very freaking bad at putting those short ones in, but he's just such a good ball striker at this price. I'm in. What do you think of Alex Smalley as well? $5,400. The guy's just ball striking things together. Doesn't have to be a contender at this price whatsoever. CT Pan, another good option in that department. Chad Ramey, $5,200. I'm rattling off all these guys because I'm playing a lot of lineups with a lot of randoms. You know, like, this is the week. High variance. I'm not going to keep that out of a player pool. I'm going to just play as many random combinations as I possibly can and just hope like one of these guys just breaks through for me. So I also love Joel Dahmen and Chris Ventura along with some David Lipsky. Holy cow, there's a lot of guys I dig in the 5s. So
you're making 100 lineups this week. How many are you making?
I'm going to make a lot. I haven't decided how many. And you found a contest situation that I'm going to get into, and we're going to play a bunch of contests or lineups.
I'm making 3.
Figure it out. Yes.
3 lineups for me. I've already made my cash lineup, which you guys know. And that's going to go with a $12 single entry. I'll have a $33 single entry.
Hypothetically.
I'll have a $100 single entry. And I'll also put all 3 in the $5 just in case. You know what I'm saying? Just in case, right? For $100,000 or whatever it is this week.
Kenny, it's a big week. The most there's grabs in one and dones, right? So the biggest purses there are, and we got 4 million up for grabs, or whatever the price tag is for
1.5 million. And I'm going Morikawa. Morikawa's winning this. I just feel it,
baby.
I just feel it. I'm gonna save Scotty and Rory and those guys for like in the Slider Cup for the end of the year, because they actually go through the FedEx Cup playoffs, and each playoff event is like doubled. So like it's 2 times the amount of points for the first round of the playoffs, 4 times the amount of points for the second, and 8 times for the Tour Championship. So you really need to save basically Scotty for the Tour Championship. So that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and go more Cal. I might use Scotty in the Mayo one and done. We'll see.
I have just been doing terrible, and it's probably because I have been taking picks like this. But I'm going to go with Justin Rose. I need to make up a lot of money on the field, and I believe in this guy. He's trending hard. I need $4.8 million in my bank account that no one else will have because I'm sitting in like 4,000th place right now. I need to take something down. I like him. I'm confident in him. You know, like it's just a weird name. And we've spoken about the variance. Trying to take a safe-ish play here might not pay off for you. I want to burn my big boys when the predictability of the golf course is a little better for me. So
I don't know. The issue is the big boys have won here recently, so I'm sticking with the big guns.
Justin Rose is a big boy, okay? Been playing here since 2003. He's a very good golfer. He just finished third at a signature event at Pebble Beach, a very kind of similar venue-ish. I'm just saying. You can catch all my stuff at my Patreon, The Model Maniac. Get it over there. Get me on X at The Model Maniac as well. I'll be doing my Back Nine Bets YouTube show tomorrow night on 7 Eastern on Mayo Media Network. Make sure you hit the like button to this show, by the way, as well. Hit the subscribe button too. And if you've made it this far, comment who's going to win this tournament so that I can give you a free munch. If, Mike, I'm hearing stuff in the background. If you can, comment who's going to win this golf tournament. And whoever picks the name that wins first, I will give a free month to my Discord for the next month, obviously. So, terrible outro there, Kenny. Get us the hell out of here. Let us know what else is sponsoring the show.
Yeah, totally forgot about that. So the winner last week, we actually had somebody come in and pick the winner for the first time in 3 weeks. It was at St. Buster 31. His DK name is Drews Glasson. So that doesn't really give us a way to reach you. Maybe we can send him something through DK. I don't know, like a message. I don't even know if you could do that.
We'll get the link in the description below. The Discord link is down there. Once you get in, I'll get you in.
Yeah, so just get in there. You get the free month. So make sure you go pick the winner. We forgot to mention that earlier today, but pick the winner, and then you get a free month of Byron's Patreon. You can find my stuff at Kendo VT. All live bets, all underdog stuff. All my final betting card will be on there. Also, make sure to go check out the Fantasy Golf Degenerates X page at FG Degenerates. Trying to build that up. Mike's been taking control of that, so make sure you go out there and follow that also. So it's a big event. It's a fun event. It's a great tournament. The coverage should be really fucking good. Let's get it done. Let's win some motherfucking money. DGen Nation.
I've been getting dirty money, Jordan Belfort. Stacking penny stocks while I'm flipping these birds. Sipping on Ciroc, trip 'em up with the words.